Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestle News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, we have a ton of news stories to get into today. And it's Groundhog Day, guys. No, it's not actual Groundhog Day, but it is when we talk about Monday Night Raw. Because every single week we hear this story. Every single week after Monday Night Raw, in the hours before Monday Night Raw, or the week after Monday Night Raw, whatever it may be, we hear this story every single week. Certainly it feels like we hear it every single week because there were major rewrites to Monday Night Raw this week, and it was described to be a crazy day. Now, before we get into the story, I understand a lot of shows have rewrites before they go on the air. It's par for the course, right? But certainly when it comes to WWE, and especially Monday Night Raw, it feels like it happens all the time. And this Monday was no different when it came to Monday Night Raw because of the chairman and CEO Vince McMahon. Because Vince McMahon was said to be, quote, angry and loud amid creative changes at Monday's Raw taping. Now, as noted on Monday evening, the afternoon was described as a, quote, crazy day backstage at the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City, as there were a lot of changes being made to the plans for the show. Now, in an update, Monday was described as one of the, quote, longest days in a long time for the WWE creative team, according to multiple sources at Wrestling Inc. and PW Insider. McMahon was reportedly, quote, extremely unhappy with the original plans for Monday Night Raw. He, quote, ripped up the script several times during the day, including the original plans and then the initial rewrites. He then began requesting new creative ideas, some of which were said to be good and others not so good. Vince still rejected everything pitched to him before decreeing the new plans that ended up airing on the USA Network. And they do this dance all the time, don't they? Where a script is given to him, he goes, no, rips it up, gives it back, goes, new ideas. They do new ideas. He goes, no, gives it back. And then he just goes, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this, and this. And you kind of wonder, If you were always going to go in the direction that you wanted to in the first place, why didn't you just say, I'm Vince McMahon, this is what I want from Monday Night Raw this week, or say from Vince McMahon to Bruce Pritchard, this is what I want to have happen this week, and then the writers go off and do it. Why are they playing this weird telepathic guessing game when it comes to writing the shows? It's just so bizarre. And I've mentioned it before. Look, don't get me wrong, the writers and the creative team, they have a difficult job because, frankly, they're working for a maniac, a guy that's in his 70s and just a ginormous man-child who, again, is a maniac. And you must be walking on eggshells anyway because you've seen so many of your co-workers get fired. But you must walk on eggshells because you're like, this guy's just going to hate my work and rip it up anyway. So what's the point? But I mentioned it before. Being a writer or being on the creative team in WWE is one of the most redundant jobs going in pro wrestling today. The reason I say that is because everything you write, everything you pitch, doesn't get approved in the end. Eventually, Vince McMahon just makes his own mind up. Oh, I'm just going to do it the way I want to do it anyway. If I was on that creative team, I'd say, wait a minute. I appreciate the check, but why am I here? Why am I here? Everything I pitch or everything I write just gets told to be rewritten or changed. Like, what's the point? What's the point? And if Vince McMahon's got an idea of where he wants it to go in the first place, just go in that direction. Don't waste time. It's just so bizarre. So bizarre. Now, McMahon was said to be, quote, the loudest and angriest one source has ever seen him on a show day. It was noted there was no official direction or plan for last night's Raw episode until 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And let's face it, if that's after all of those changes, all of those rewrites and rip-ups and all that kind of stuff, if that was the best they could offer on Raw, then again, what is the point? If that's really the rest you do, heaven forbid what was originally planned. I mean, we do know what originally was planned because everything that was announced for Monday Night Raw, whether it was Bobby Lashley versus Sheamus or a Damian Priest Open Challenge, whatever it may be, everything that was announced, we didn't see. We didn't see. That's what's funny. And they kind of got to this point in the end where they just stopped announcing things that like a week in advance because they knew that it wasn't going to happen. Because so many times, this is like during the SmackDown Live era, so many times they would announce things and they just wouldn't happen. So they just stopped announcing things to try and get ahead of the chaotic system that's in place when it comes to the writing staff and Vince McMahon. And it's always the B show that suffers from this. Not so much from SmackDown or when Monday Night Raw was the A show. Whatever shows the priority does have at least a little bit more planning, because this kind of stuff used to happen loads with SmackDown Live in sort of 2018, 2019, right before they moved to Fox. When SmackDown Live was on Tuesdays on USA Network, every time, like clockwork, like absolute clockwork, it got to like 4, 5, 6 p.m. Eastern, you started to see those reports on social media. The script's been rewritten. It's being ripped up. They're doing something now. SmackDown's going to look completely different. What's advertised isn't going to happen. And you saw it all the time. And the theory that I kind of came up with at the time is the planning goes to the A show, which at the time was Raw. Now it's SmackDown on Fox. The planning goes to the A show. And then they kind of just go, well, we'll get to the other show on the day of or the day before. So they'll spend like 5 or 6 days writing or at least preparing or brainstorming some ideas that they want to do for that A show. And when the second show comes around, they go, well, no, haven't thought of anything. And the plan that they have come up with, Vince McMahon hasn't even looked at yet because he's been focused on the A show. And then they present him on the day of the plan or the script or the format for the B show. And they look at it, he looks at it and goes, no, I don't want to do that. And but the thing is, that what baffles me is that should be the point there. And when he goes, I don't want to do that, it should be a case of, right, what do you want from us? Because why are we playing this weird guessing game of him going, pitch me something? Pitch me something. Well, I don't know. What do you want? What do you want me to pitch? What do you want to see? You're in charge. And it's just, again, it's this weird, like, psychic guessing game. Pitch me something. What do we do this? I don't like it. Pitch me something else. What if we do this? I don't like it. Then why are we here? I wouldn't last a day or 5 minutes on that creative team because I would be like, this system is just bizarre. So bizarre. And it's kind of a case of procrastinating to the point of doing nothing because he keeps going, nope. And then eventually you just get given nothing. And that's what happens on like Monday Night Raw. You just get given nothing. And trust me, as a viewer, as someone that has to watch those 3 hours, you watch the 3 hours and you go, this feels like something that's being written on the fly at the last minute. And what makes me laugh as well, when I see these stories like this, WWE has the nerve, every time they produce a documentary talking about the Monday Night Wars or WCW, WCW was so chaotic. Oh, it was so chaotic. You would be a 3-hour Nitro or a 2-hour Nitro, and they didn't even know what they were doing. They were writing it as they were on the air. They were writing the second and third hour as they were in the first hour, and they didn't know what they were going to do. Sounds pretty familiar. So WWE likes to throw stones at WCW going how chaotic it was. Well, WWE's no different. Absolutely no different in comparison to those like Nitro shows. It's not anymore. So I just find it all hilarious. And like I said, whenever I see these stories, I think it's just Groundhog Day. I think it really is Groundhog Day, and it won't change. We'll probably talk about this again in a couple of weeks' time because, again, that's what we always see. After every Raw, it was chaotic and there was rewrites and we had to change things because Vince McMahon didn't like what he saw. Well, maybe do something a couple of days before instead of the day of. It must be maddening, absolute maddening. Speaking of Raw, the viewership for this week's episode is coming, and as to be expected, it was down from last week's post-SummerSlam episode. Now, Monday's live edition of Raw drew an average of 1.907 million viewers on the USA Network, according to Nielsen via Showbuzz Daily. This is down over 7% from last week's 2.067 million viewers for the post-SummerSlam episode. Raw drew a 0.54 rating in the 18 to 49 key demographic this week. This is down over 15% from last week's 0.64 key demo rating. Raw ranked 16 for the night in viewership on cable. Raw ranked number 1, though, for the night in the cable top 150 with that key 18 to 49 demographic of a 0.54. To be honest with you, I think WWE will probably take it. Even though it went down, it was expected to go down because of that post-SummerSlam episode. Being still relatively close to 2 million, they will take. It still kind of baffles me, and I don't want to be like a WWE basher because I'm not. I'm a fan of pro wrestling, so that means I'm a fan of WWE, AEW, Impact. With any promotion and any company, there's stuff I like and there's stuff I don't like, and that's what I try to be here. I try to be honest, and it still just kind of baffles me that 2 million people still are nearly watching this. Which I guess the evidence is in the numbers that 2 million people, I guess, just will continue to watch, irrespective of that. Monday's Raw viewership was up 0.6% from the same week in 2020, but the key demographic was down nearly 7% from the same week in 2020. So WWE, even though it was technically up, it still continues to decline. That's the big concern. And again, just you watch that episode on Raw Monday, and it's just so like, But Vince McMahon, given those rewrites, will be like, see? We were proven right. We were right to do those rewrites. I told you. You watch Raw and it just feels so like, again, and it's not just because it's 3 hours. That's one issue. It's a big issue, but it's just one issue. There's so many issues to fix on Monday Night Raw that it's not even worth the time, because we talk about it all the time, but it's just not even worth getting into at this point. We have an update on what the WWE Queen of the Ring tournament name could possibly be. Now, it looks like the name of the inaugural WWE Queen of the Ring tournament has finally been revealed, because WWE filed a trademark for, quote, Queen's Crown Tournament on August 27. Now, this was filed with the United States Patent and Trademark Office for Pro Wrestling Uses. As has been previously reported, WWE is reportedly scheduled to hold the finals of the 2021 King of the Ring tournament and the finals of the first ever Queen of the Ring tournament at the WWE Crown Jewel event in Saudi Arabia on Thursday, October 21st. It's believed the tournaments will begin on the Raw and SmackDown episodes that serve as the lead-in to Crown Jewel in early October. Now, of course, as of right now, at the time of recording, WWE has not officially announced the Queen of the Ring tournament or the King of the Ring tournaments as of right now, but the announcements are expected shortly. Queen's Crown tournament, I don't know why. I don't know why they can't call it the Queen of the Ring tournament, just because it's called the King of the Ring, and for me it feels a bit like, and it's not a hill to die on, it's not a big issue at all. I'm happy they're doing the tournament at all, let alone the name doesn't matter, but it does kind of feel like if you had a Money in the Bank ladder match, but you called the men's and women's one something different. It would be the Money in the Bank ladder match for the men, and the cash in the savings account match for, you know what I mean? It just feels very silly. Or like the Royal Rumble. We're not going to call it the Royal Rumble for the females. We're going to call it something else. Why can't you just call it Queen of the Ring? And I will, and I think a lot of people have said this, and it feels very true. And I can't wait for social media's reaction to Charlotte Flair winning this tournament, because when you hear it's called the Queen's Crown Tournament, the first name that does come to mind, not like rightfully so or anything like that, but just because of the branding and how they market Charlotte Flair, she's the first name that comes to mind. She's called the Queen. I'm the Queen. This is my ring. And she's only, she's one step away from wearing a crown anyway. So you just know she is going to win that tournament. Now, I could be wrong here, and I hope that I am, but social media just explodes every time they do those Saudi shows anyway, because they end in some kind of controversy. Just being out there, I guess, is controversial, and we won't get into that. But whether it's Goldberg or whether it's, Goldberg and The Undertaker, Goldberg and The Fiend, or DX versus the Brothers of Destruction, those shows are just something where you just go, oh, no. It's Brock Lesnar squashing Braun Strowman, or the list can go on and on of those shows where you just go, I don't know what they're doing. You know for a fact they're absolutely 100%, and I'm not a scoopster, I don't know, but 100% there will have been discussions of Charlotte Flair. She is the queen. It's only right that we would make her the Queen of the Ring, right? That would be the right option for us to do. Surely it would. We would make Charlotte Flair the Queen of the Ring. She's the queen anyway. We're just confirming it. So you know that they would be considering doing that. And once I heard that it was going to be called the Queen's Crown Tournament, again, why it can't be called Queen of the Ring, I don't know. It's not a hill to die on. I'm just happy they're doing the tournament in the first place. Speaking of female WWE superstars, it looks like Asuka might be dealing with an injury right now. Now, WWE Monday Night Raw superstar Asuka has not been seen on WWE television since the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match on the July 18 pay-per-view event. Now, in late August, it was reported that Asuka was not injured, and it was simply a case of WWE's creative team not having any plans for her right now. Now, as noted, Asuka debunked those reports via Twitter, stating the reason for her absence is completely different to what is being reported. Well, we have maybe a bit of a better idea as to what's going on right now, because on Tuesday, Asuka shared a picture of her arm in a brace, pretty much confirming that she's been out of action due to an injury. Now, Asuka revealed that she, quote, finally got new teeth after losing them 6 months ago. The former Raw Women's Champion revealed back in March that she underwent dental surgery. At the time, she also revealed it would take 6 months for her teeth to completely heal from the injury she suffered when Shayna Baszler kicked her in the mouth during a tag team match on the February 22nd edition of Monday Night Raw. So it looks like Asuka may actually be dealing with an injury right now, which is going to seem crazy what I'm about to say here, but that's at least kind of reassuring that WWE just doesn't know what to do with Asuka and they're just not using her. It could be argued that WWE legitimately does not know what to do with Asuka because giving her booking this year in WWE could argue that they don't have a clue. But I guess it's kind of reassuring that she's injured, but you don't want to see anyone have an injury anyway. You don't want to see anyone being injured, let alone someone as talented and needed on the Raw Women's roster as Asuka. So I think, to be honest, though, having some time away isn't necessarily a bad thing at all. I think that, again, not that her character got stale, she was still incredibly needed, but sometimes with WWE taking a step out of the spotlight, taking some time away, suddenly the creative team or the writers get fascinated with you once again and excited when you do return. So maybe it'll be a case of her returning in October. I could certainly see her returning when it comes to the draft and they shake up the rosters. Certainly I could see her going to SmackDown. Maybe that's the right move for her. She does have history with Becky Lynch. Maybe she resumes the rivalry with Becky Lynch over the SmackDown Women's Championship this time as opposed to the Raw Women's Championship in 2020. We got some NXT news, and we have a report about the NXT babyfaces in the women's division going forward. The NXT women's division officially has two new babyface additions, moving forward. It was noted this week by PW Insider that Indy Hartwell is on the babyface side of the roster from here on out. Furthermore, it was announced that NXT Women's Champion Raquel Gonzalez will also be presented as a babyface going forward too. Hartwell recently proposed, of course, to Dexter Lumis, and their wedding will air during the live September 14th edition of NXT. She essentially split from the way for the most part during this angle. Of course, Gonzalez recently split from Dakota Kai and retained her championship over Kai at the NXT TakeOver 36 event in August. Gonzalez is now feuding with Kaylee Ray and is headed for a feud with Frankie Monet in the future. I still prefer Gonzalez as a heel. I think she'll probably do her best work as a heel, but NXT, I mean, we've spoken about it extensively here on the channel, so I don't want to go too much into it today because that conversation will come up at a later date, but it's just very difficult to invest any kind of time and emotion into NXT right now, isn't it? Because we know changes are coming. What those changes look like, well, we have a hint at it. You can see it right there. You can see the new logo. You can see the logo in the background behind me. All that kind of stuff. We know those changes are coming. Whether or not they're going to be good, I don't know if you can really glitter a turd, to be honest with you. You can try, but it's still a piece of crap. And not that NXT is a piece of crap, it's probably very harsh, but it's just, look, aesthetic changes are fine if you want to give things a new, coat of paint, but when the issues are far deep, more deep-rooted, that's when you have to look into these things. So time will tell. Again, I prefer Gonzalez as a heel as opposed to a babyface. Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis, when that whole wedding thing, I don't really know the end game for that one. I guess the end game is Dexter Lumis talking or saying his first words. His first words being "I do," I guess, right? Because he has to say it. He can't just, jot it down and hold it up, can he? Can he? I guess he has to say it. Maybe that's the end game there. Maybe I just figured that out while I've been recording this video. Who knows? Speaking of NXT as well, it looks like Halloween Havoc will be returning this year to NXT 2. A Halloween Havoc edition of NXT is reportedly planned for this year. Next Tuesday's NXT episode on the USA Network will be the final tape show for the time being, according to PW Insider. NXT is scheduled to resume live broadcast beginning September 14, which will feature, as I mentioned, the wedding of Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis. The Halloween Havoc theme will be brought back for one of the live episodes of NXT in October. It looks like this would be the episode on Tuesday, October 26th, but that hasn't, of course, been confirmed as of right now. The first ever NXT Halloween Havoc event was held on October 28, 2020. Shotzi Blackheart served as the host for that event, which brought back the spin the wheel, make the deal gimmick from WCW from a few bouts for the show, which I think is good. I did a good number last year, and I like the NXT specials. I would prefer, to be honest with you, that Halloween Havoc was actually a pay-per-view used rather than, say, like a Hell in a Cell or something like that, because make the Hell in a Cell feel special. Just bring back an event that's got a lot of brand recognition like Halloween Havoc, and you can have a Hell in a Cell on there, but that keeps the match a little bit more special. But WWE isn't doing that, so it's just not going to happen. Finally, Ric Flair has revealed one of his final conversations with Vince McMahon following his release. Now, of course, as we previously spoke about here on the channel, Ric Flair recently spoke to Renee Paquette on her Oral Session podcast and discussed what sparked him to ask for his release from WWE after working for the company for several decades on and off. He said, quote, "I'd laid low because it was so far-fetched. What happened was I had a bunch of pending opportunities. I had a bunch of things I was doing currently. At the time when I signed my contract, a couple of deals kept coming along that it got to the point where I was asking them, I think I probably exhausted them by asking not to grandfather me in, but to let me do them. And then, of course, the answer is you could do them, maybe. I thought of what I was going to say to you today and how I'm going to handle this. I just decided that I wanted to finally, which I did for 3 years, make a living not being under a wrestling payroll. That's all it was. There was no animosity whatsoever. It was just business. I wanted to try, and they just had a different vision." Paquette followed it up by asking what vision did WWE have for him. He said WWE wanted me to just get paid, basically. A lot of money. Nothing was wrong with that. But after the fact, Flair said that both he and Vince McMahon exchanged a heartfelt conversation, which is something that meant a great deal to Flair. After sharing numerous decades together, he said, quote, "I talked to Vince after it was over, and I just said, whatever paths our lives take us, we're always going to be brothers." He said, "You're damn right." So Flair is still going with that narrative that he just wanted to try something different. From what those reports say, Flair was on a very good contract, not this traditional Legends deal or anything like that. Ric Flair got paid very well, but he couldn't. Every outside opportunity, of course, you have to run by WWE, and WWE has the final call in that. And I guess it was a case of WWE not approving some stuff, and Flair wants to be Ric Flair. He wants to be out there and doing stuff. Now, it depends if the time comes where eventually he needs that WWE money again. I wouldn't rule it out, but if Flair wants to be Ric Flair and do some other stuff outside, then I don't think WWE's not going to stand in his way to do that, and if that's the case, they won't have a problem with it. Anyway, guys, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on all of these WWE news stories we've spoken about today? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved in the community, drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out here on YouTube, go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or having come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.